a client comes to us with a project, we look at it and scope the project and try to understand if it's something within our capabilities. Then we look at our freelance pool, we see if the skill set is there, we put together a team. So the benefit for the client here is they get access to a set of skilled professionals who they don't have to necessarily sit and manage.
Because they're startups, they can't necessarily afford the bigger corporates or the bigger names out there to do this kind of work for them. And so I feel that's an incredible gap that we can actually address.
Hi everyone, and in the studio today with me are the co-founders of ReMAtics, Mangalee, Goonetilleke and Amani, Iqbal. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
It's nice to be here.
It's also quite nice to interview two people I've known for almost 20 years. So
That's right.
congratulations on launching ReMAtics. First, what is ReMAtics?
So ReMAtics is actually a passion project more than anything else. And it is a platform offering niche services in the field of financial modeling, research when it comes to company research or industry research. We also have a writing segment completely involved in doing annual reports. And more recently, we're kind of diversifying into new areas such as investor relations, equity analyst training, etc. But what sets us apart, I think, is we work only with freelancers. And more than ever, it was something that was started from an idea to provide women, more than anything else, an opportunity to work from home.
This will be 5 years since you started. And I know that both of you have been talking about it for like almost 7 to 8 years before you started. What prompted you to go from an idea to really execution and start it?
So I was actually involved in remote work in my corporate life for about 10 years, I think since 2013. And during that time, friends and people friends, family, they used to come reach out to me and go, oh, do you know of any other opportunities like this? And mostly women, because for various personal reasons, they've, quit the workforce and they're at home for family, etc. And there were very few opportunities out there because remote work was not a thing. It was hardly heard of. And then when COVID hit, then there was a sudden boom of remote work and everyone's accepting of it and everyone's welcoming it actually. And then that's when we thought, okay, this is a great time to start to take advantage of that opportunity. And so we went for it in November 2020.
Mangalee, you looking at your background, right? You've been in equity research for a while. And when you all launched this, you have gone beyond equity research to a whole lot of other things, right? You do modeling, you do financial modeling, you do financial research, you do annual report writing now, and a lot of content around it as well. Why? And how are you managing such a wide range of products?
So we both come from that equity research background. So we've been in that industry for about 15 years now. And we thought that's the best place to start. Although we both also come from an accounting background, if you really look at the industry, there's a lot of very specialized bookkeeping and accounting companies. So we wanted to find a niche where we can provide the services where we are really good at. And also another thing was we wanted it to be a company that caters to SMEs because there are large corporations, large corporations that do the same kind of work, valuations, research. But for the most part, SMEs get priced out. It's way too expensive, or maybe they are not a priority sometimes because it might be a small thing that needs to be done. So we thought we'll cater to that because our price points are relatively better, because we don't come with a huge branding. So that was kind of where we started off with.
Amani, you said you work entirely with freelancers. Tell us more about your operational model, and also when you work with a lot of freelancers, you have to manage a lot more in terms of their flexibility, their availability versus matching that with client needs. How does the operational model work, and why has it worked?
So mainly what we look for, because we work remote, it is essential that the people we hire, more than anything else, have the right attitude and the right work ethic. Because we both believe strongly that skills can be taught.
Yeah.
But although we look for people with finance and writing experience, we focus mainly on, personal qualities like honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, etc. So most of the people actually who've been with us have come through personal recommendation or through close contacts, etc. And some of them have been with us right from the beginning. And those that apply to us, through our website or via email, etc., we have an evaluation process. And for the most part, it's worked quite well. And I think both of us are quite strict when it comes to things like, integrity and all honesty, those kind of things. We're very particular about that. So we don't cut any slack anywhere when it comes to that. And thankfully, it's worked so far. We have most of the people who are with us have been with us for 5 years. And so it's worked great. We're very thankful, actually, to have a good team and very hardworking, very committed, dedicated team. And I think that's the backbone of what we do.
And Mangalee, how do you manage the client relationships? Because I think even though they are your main target is SMEs, they are as demanding as any large corporate, right?
So in terms of how we sort of manage projects, and that is also part of how the operating model works, is when sort of clients come to us. So we are, first and foremost, we are not a freelance platform. I think we need to make that very clear, because because we work with freelancers, people think we're a freelance platform, but we are not. It's a little more complex than that, a little bit more unique. So how it works is you have the freelancers on one side, we are right in the middle, and you get the clients. When a client comes to us with a project, we look at it and scope the project and try to understand if it's something within our capabilities. Then we look at our freelance pool, we see if the skill set is there, we put together a team, and they report directly to us. So they may not even know who the client is. So the benefit for the client here is they get access to a set of skilled professionals who they don't have to necessarily sit and manage. We will do that for them. We will do the final evaluation. We will give the final okay and hand it over to the client. So the client gets a quality product at the end of the day without having the headache to manage a team. In terms of managing clients, so because I'm in Sri Lanka, I manage the Sri Lankan clients. She manages the clients that are overseas for the most part. Managing clients, I mean, it's like any organization. You have to manage expectations. We have to figure out, there are times where we have to change timelines, sometimes scope changes. But I also think because of our model, we have a little bit more flexibility than some of the larger corporations who would do the same thing. We have far more flexibility. And so far, I mean, we've had a lot of clients who've actually joined us or started working with us when we launched. Some of them have been with us right throughout. I mean, we are known in our industry, but outside of that, we are relatively unknown. And some of them took a chance with us, sometimes through recommendations, but they took a chance with us and stayed with us. And both overseas, there are a few overseas clients as well who's been with us throughout. So we're very thankful again for taking a chance on us, especially because we're a small SME and they don't really know who we are. So yeah, that's how we sort of work with our clients.
Amani, talent is the most critical component of a business of this nature, right? How do you, and you said you work exclusively with a group of freelancers. That also means that you need to sort of evaluate them very carefully. And you said you all are very tough in terms of the quality of the people that you get in. But you also need to sort of, and you also mentioned that a large part of them have also been with you right throughout this 5-year journey. But as you grow, you will have to recruit more and more freelancers, and it'll sort of go out of your comfort zone in terms of who you know, and it'll have to be people that you do not know. So how do you do this evaluation, and then how do you see this continuing as you grow the company? I know you're not aggressively looking at it, but growth will happen inevitably.
So, like I said, we do have a very strict evaluation process. We have, assessments, etc., when it comes to technical things. But we also go back to their previous employers. We check with them. We ask, now everything's available on social media. You can actually find a lot of, and I think over the years with our network, we've got mutual friends everywhere, I think, at this point. So it's quite easy to actually reach out to someone to ask about someone's character, per se. And that's something we do quite diligently to make sure that we are getting the right kind of people who work with us. And then over time, once we actually take them on board, we try to develop personal, one-on-one relationships with them. And usually a catch-up call over a work turns into like a long-ended discussion. Like I said, for me personally, because I'm a mom, I have 2 sons, and so quite a few of the girls who work with us are moms too. So there's a lot of bonding in terms of our personal stories and personal circumstances, etc. So I think that has also helped a lot, where we've developed like really good relationships with them, and it's not entirely just about work for most part. So yeah.
I think one of the important things is when we say we, do background checks, is sometimes it's not even necessarily to obviously one question is, yes, is this person good at what they do? But the other thing is, sort of, are they trustworthy people? Because we get a lot of confidential information. Most of the time, freelancers won't know from what company the work is coming. But despite the fact that everybody is on an NDA, which gets renewed every 2 years like a prayer, you still have to have that trustworthiness, that integrity, and make sure that you don't really talk about the projects that you do. So that is one of the key reasons we actually go back and check, how they are. And touch wood, it's been a pretty good run so far.
Congratulations on that. It's very difficult balance to get.
It is. But we are very cut and dry about that. We're very cut and dry, especially with people who don't know us and they join. Very, very cut and dry about why that relationship can't continue.
In terms of talent itself, as I mentioned before, talent is the heart of your business. The kind of work that you do requires a couple of things. I think number one is the professional development of the talent needs to happen continuously, because the world is changing quite rapidly, right? But at the same time, your entire team is remote. So that sort of, I wouldn't say challenges, but I mean, if it's an in-house team, you can, on a day-to-day basis, you meet the people you work with. You can have trainings in-house as well. It's different. How have you managed this?
Like you said, we are not a typical organization. Everybody sits in their remote places. We've done it in a couple of ways. One is, so some of them who have been with us since 2021, most of the freelancers joined with us in 2021 actually. We've seen them and we've made sure some of them, they might start with database projects. Then they might go to a small writing project. And we'll slowly scale them up. They'll end up doing research work and then writing. So that's how we've upskilled some of them. That way, one, they're not bored with doing the same kind of thing over time. And also, it's better pay, because when you do higher skilled work, it's also better pay. And for us, it's great because now we have more trained people. Otherwise, it's the same 3-4 people doing the same high skilled work. So we've managed to upskill people that way. And another way it also happens is automatically is when you get certain client work, although your skill set is applicable, there might be a new industry we might have to learn. Then we have to automatically upskill ourselves. We have to read up on the industry. So that's another way we get trained or upskilled. The other thing that we want to now actually work on is some of the people that's been with us, they are experts in their very own fields. So some of the writers, some of the editors, they're very good in their fields. Whereas we might be moderate or average on it. So we want to transfer that skill. Now that we are at the 5th year, we've realized a lot of them have been with us for some time. So maybe this is the time to be actually sort of do cross-training, where we bring in these people and sort of there's a knowledge transfer, so they also can upskill and get better at their work. So that's how we sort of manage the training and development.
And do you think it has worked?
It has actually. We have quite a few who started in databases. Yeah. Now they're writing annual reports, writing research reports. So that's, yeah.
It's worked quite nicely.
Yeah.
In terms of culture, actually, I think, what's different from how things kind of erupted during COVID or something, where everyone was forced to work from home, is that these people, given their circumstances and their personal choices, want to work from home. And they really, they don't look at it as a second option. It is their preferred option, right? And because it is that, they're actually very, very dedicated. We've hardly had situations, that where we've had to chase up on someone and say the work's not done, it's not coming on time. So, and I find that incredible actually, because we were foreseeing that at the beginning. Then we realized because these people want to do, and also because they probably, they appreciate the income, so they really work hard for it, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Amani, one of the things that I like about your organization having these two co-founders is one is based in Sri Lanka and one is based overseas. And one of the hottest growing financial markets for the last decade or more, I'd say, is in the Middle East, and you're looking to grow there as well. How has that been, and what other plans do you have for the future as well?
Very excited about that actually, because the Middle East is, there's a lot of the energy and the sheer ambition of the SME startup ecosystem there is incredible. The entire region actually, it's become quite a hub for innovation, for investment, for entrepreneurship. And you see there's like a very clear appetite, not just for starting companies, but for scaling them. And then you come across so many conferences, forums, etc., where you have brilliant founders, and a lot of them are very creative people, right? And they have fantastic ideas and so innovative, but they don't have the financial background, right? And they all are looking for investment. And so the gap we found is where they need to kind of present their business on financial terms to investors, and that's where the problem lies. So while attending these conferences, etc., I met startup founders, and then we've trained a few of them, done some financial coaching, helped them with build financial models, and prepare business plans, pitch decks, etc., to present to investors. And because they're startups, they can't necessarily afford the bigger corporates or the bigger names out there to do this kind of work for them. And so I feel that's a incredible gap that we can actually address. So we're quite excited about that. We've only just started actually in the Middle East, but hoping to actually grow quite well there.
And what are the differences between client requirements in the Middle East versus client requirements in Sri Lanka? And also, is there a difference between the type of talent you find in the Middle East versus, I'm assuming servicing from talent from anywhere, right? From here as well as the Middle East for that market. So,
in terms of servicing clients, it actually doesn't matter. I mean, when we get projects which require UAE or Middle East expertise, then we actually take people on from Dubai, where I'm based. But otherwise, it doesn't quite matter where the clients are serviced from, unless it requires a specific kind of regional expertise. But in terms of clients, I think overseas clients, how do I put it? I think overseas clients can be a lot more demanding in terms of lot more demanding in terms of pricing, in terms of what they want. But having said that, they're also a lot more organized, I think. They're also a lot more, very sticking to timelines, very particular about, process-driven kind of people. So there's both sides, I think, to each thing, So we've learned to kind of over time manage both of that. It's quite interesting. I personally enjoy the managing client relationships because it's so it's quite interesting to meet people and to kind of see different sides of people. But over time, we've actually, like some of the clients we've dealt with here and abroad, it's quite interesting how you have a certain image of some people, and then sometimes when you deal with them personally, it's completely opposite. So it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of incredible learning, actually.
And I think it also helps us build a bit of confidence, because you always have this, am I really okay at what I do,
Yeah.
with all these things. And then you work with people over time, and then you come to realize we're all trying to figure it out. So, you're not too bad.
Mangalee, looking at the model, you've described your company as being more self-sustaining. So I'm assuming you're not really searching for capital or and you're sort of growing at a sustainable pace. But how is that different from, say, a typical, maybe another tech-based startup in how you're growing this? How would you sort of see the similarities and or differences?
I think there's a lot more differences, especially in terms of the growth trajectory. We are not a startup. We are classified as an SME, and the way our model works, and especially because we take a very hands-on approach in how we work, it's really tough to scale up. Right? There's always a time limit. We don't work around the clock, so we have a time limit on how much of work we can do, and the time limit that the freelancers can also work, because they only give a certain amount of time to us, because we might be doing other work as well, right? So the growth trajectory is very much slow compared to a startup. The similarities is probably the fact that the same level of commitment as founders. We see, we have a lot of friends from the startup community here. The amount of commitment they put into their work, they're very diligent. That kind of commitment still has to come from us. We can't, because we manage all of the clients directly and we have to manage all the freelancers. So there is that kind of level of commitment that is required from us. I think that's where we see sort of the differences and the similarities.
Amani, you said it started off as a chat between both of you all, and now a passion project that has become a thriving business. What advice do you have for people who want to get out of this corporate grind, start something? More importantly, more than starting something, I think making it a viable project, that goes forward.
I think personally, my biggest piece of advice would be just go for it. If you have a passion, I always wanted to have my own business. I think since I was 15 or 16, I just didn't know what it was. And it took me kind of a while to figure that out. But if you're someone, you need to have a certain appetite for risk as well. I have to say that, because it's not everyone's cup of tea. But if you're willing to take that calculated risk, I'd say go for it, right? Yeah, although you need to have, like in the terms of our business model, we don't need investment. But if you're the kind of person who needs investment, or you want to put in your own capital, you need to have a bit of a financial cushion as well, just in case, just to fall back on. So that's one thing I would say. And then the other thing is, find a niche. You can't serve everyone. Find something that you're good at, and something that solves a problem for someone. As long as you're solving a real problem for someone, you're good, because you're addressing a certain thing, and then you're not just like looking at, oh, I want to sell this, or I want to provide that, and so I'm going to make people come get it. They're going to come get it if you have a problem, if you're solving something that they really have an issue with, right? And then start small. Even the Amazons of the world, or the biggest companies, started like in a room. So you don't have to think about, scaling immediately. Just start wherever, in your room, in your garage, whatever it is, right? Start small, focus on what you know. Most of all, I would say just believe in yourself, because there's going to be a lot of days where you're going to think, okay, this is not working. Gosh, I'm stuck. This is a really bad day. Nothing's going right. And then don't give up on that. There's been a lot of days where
We've had
like,
those.
we've had
plenty
so many of those.
We
We're
wake
like,
up, I'm like,
we're done. But then you look at it and go, no, because I think personally for me, there is something incredibly powerful about having something for yourself, and also something extremely rewarding about being able to provide an income for someone else. It is. I can't compare that to anything really. So personally, I think that's the biggest thing that I would say.
Final question to both of you. You've hit 5 years now. What does the next 5 years look like for ReMAtics?
So I think these 5 years have taught us a lot. One of the biggest things I think at the beginning was when we started, we're like, okay, how do we price? How do we, compared to the other things out there, how do we price? And because we were new, we continually found, over time, that we were underpricing quite a bit. And then over time, we realized, we realized we can stick to the pricing that we have, because it's reflecting the value of our work. And clients have come to recognize that as well. I think over the last 3 years, I think we've never had a client negotiate a price.
Very rare in this industry.
Which is good. So, and I think that's speaking for our work and also speaking for the value that we provide. So that's one big thing. We've also realized, when we were starting out, we just said yes to everything. Because we just wanted the business. So we're like, okay, yes to this, yes to that, yes to whatever. And it came to the point where, oh gosh, we can't manage the workload. Because the end of the day, although we have a team, it's the two of us managing the project.
Because there is a personal guarantee that we give as the founders. That is the model, right? That we give a personal guarantee on the work as the two founders and the main contact points. So we are responsible for whatever comes out of our team. So there is a lot of final checks and things that we have to do. So we realized saying yes to everything also means it takes a personal toll on your time. And one thing we, recently also we were talking about it, we need to also remember why we both started this. I mean, when I quit in 2020, it was because I wanted to live my life differently. That's the same for her. She wanted to spend more time with the kids. Kids were, either in school. So it can't be where we are just working like we did in our corporates and not do anything else. So that was another thing I think we now will have to keep in mind as we go on. Why we quit the corporate grind.
That's a huge one. And then, stemming from that also, in terms of choosing the clients we work with, I think now we've come to a place where we actually have the choice and also look at the background and try and, figure out whether we want to work with that client. And we are able to make that choice now. And I think that's really nice, which we didn't have at the beginning. But most of all, I think over the last 5 years, we've been able to develop a really good team. We have a team of writers, we have a team of analysts, we have a team of editors, plus people who do data entry, etc. And so because of that, we've been able to diversify into quite a few things. Initially, we started only with financial modeling and research, and now we're doing full-on annual reports. We do PR work, we do business plans, RFPs, all kinds of things. So it's investor relations.
Now we've also gone into equity analyst training.
That's what I was going to say next. Because of this team that we have, we've been able to recognize the value that each of them provides and identify growth opportunities in the market, which is most recently, for example, for the Middle East market, we're doing startup packages where we do the financial coaching, we build a financial model, we develop a business plan, and we do a pitch deck, and we teach you how to present it.
Yeah, I think that's where the help is needed for them. How to talk numbers, because that's what the investors come and grill them for. It's a great idea.
And they grill them for the most minute things. It can be burn rate, client acquisition cost, and they're stunned. They don't know what to say. So that, and then most recently, we've gone into equity analyst training as well. So things like that, some of it has actually been client requested. And then we think, oh, wow, someone's asking us for this, we can do that. So I think over time, that's the biggest thing that we can take forward. And that's what I'm really passionate about for the next 5 years, hopefully. And yeah.
Mangalee, Goonetilleke, and Amani, Iqbal, thank you for sharing the ReMAtics story.
Thank you for having us. Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.